Hi, I'm Pam Kester, the CEO of Arizona LeadingAge. We're here at our annual conference, The Power of Purpose. We had Larry Johnson speak to us, and he was fantastic. Everyone loved him, and he was great. We're so happy to have him. Thank you very much.
My wife and I met when my family moved in across the street from her family when we were in the 7th grade. We got back together in college, and so we started going out. This is us at a party in 1968. Now, this is us 2 years later. We've now married and had our daughter. And this is us 5 years later. My wife was still kind of in that hippie mode. I'd gone on to be a disco god. And for those of you who are thinking, no, he's going to go through his whole family album year by year, I'll jump up to the year 2000. Here we are. At this point, I'm doing what I'm doing now as a speaker. My wife had went ahead and finished up school and became a mortgage banker. And this was taken in a cafe in Tuscany. And I don't know if you can see the look in her eye, but she is just one delightful person with the devil in her eye. She is. This was in 2002. And this was in 2004. You see, in 2003, on October the 11th, we were on a bicycle tour through the wine country in Northern California. And we had climbed up to the top of about a 2-mile grade up to the top of this hill, and we stopped and we had a little chat and, kidded around, and then we started down the hill. And I'm a lot more reckless rider than my wife, and so I zipped on ahead and got to the bottom of the hill, and I sat there for a while, and she never showed, and finally somebody pulled up and said, were you riding with a woman? And I said, yeah, and he said, well, there's been an accident, she's up on the hill, and she's unconscious. So he gave me a ride back up the hill. And when we arrived, my wife was laying in the middle of the highway. There were flares around her, and people had stopped, and there was a woman sort of directing her care. It turned out to be an RN, and she was unconscious and laying face down, and blood was running down the hill from her face. And it turns out that despite wearing a helmet, she got what they call a TBI, traumatic brain injury.
The beginning of his presentation was very humorous, and I didn't realize we were going down such a serious road, and it was nice to come full circle and have some humor, even though there was a difficult situation in his life. And I think it was a perfect example of how change can affect you and how it's important to move forward and grow through that change.
Oh, I just thought it was wonderful, and just what we need to hear, just what people in healthcare marketing need to hear, the real human story. And I just think his wife is very lucky to have him for a husband. I think, it was a great story with a wonderful ending.
During that time, we were given no hope. And this was just about the time that the Shivo case was in the news. And in fact, one doctor said, your wife is her brain functioning is much higher than the Shivo case, but you got to start having the same kind of expectations. But I didn't believe it, and the reason I didn't believe it was that one evening, maybe it was in December, I guess, so it was after she'd kind of come awake, but she was in this vegetative state. I kissed her goodnight, and for the first time in over 2 months, she kissed me back. And that one told me that she was in there. And so I started having hope. But they did give her ice chips, and she managed to handle those. So I thought if she could have ice chips, she could have popsicles. So I started bringing popsicles in every day when I came to visit her. She could handle a popsicle. So I figured if she can eat popsicles, she can eat ice cream. So I started bringing ice cream in. And she handled that just fine. So then I started bringing her in mashed potatoes. The dietary staff were discouraging me from doing any of this because it put them at risk because she might choke. But I didn't care, and I started smuggling in entire meals from Boston Market and feeding them to her at night, along with all this liquid food she was getting through her stomach tube. But I figured it was important for her to at least experience something orally. I called ahead one day to tell the folks at the nursing home that I wanted to take her out. And they said, okay, we'll get her all ready. I got there. She was up in her wheelchair, out of her bed, all cleaned up and ready to go. And her hair was done in pigtails, and she had a doll under her arm. And I thought, here's a woman who graduated summa cum laude from college with a 4.0 GPA, who ran a mortgage company with 4 or 5 offices, who is a lifetime bridge master, and they've got her fixed up like a child. So there's all these losses. And you know what? To a certain extent, they can't be helped. The healthcare system is, by definition, a system. And therefore, there's a certain level of impersonalization. It's just, you kind of march through the system like a widget on an assembly line. And that has to be the way it is. There's policies and procedures and ways to do stuff. And there's shortage of resources, and I understand that. I mean, I got used to over the years while she was still in the nursing home that men were taking care of her when it was, I thought, highly inappropriate. But, the nursing home, they're lucky to have anybody in there, much less that it has to be a woman. But I'll tell you, along the way, there were certain individuals who made a huge difference for us. It was those people who stand out.
Okay. CJ, the reason I'm interviewing you is to get your thoughts and observations about your accident and what happened after the accident. And first of all, I want to make sure do I have your permission to do this?
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me about the accident. What happened to you, CJ?
Well, I was riding my back, and I came to a pile of rocks that I tried to navigate through. And the bike threw me off.
Okay, so the bike threw you off. Can you tell me what effect that has had on you?
Well, I suffered brain damage from it.
Or you were in the hospital for a month, and then you were in a nursing home for 2 years. Do you remember any of the nursing home experience?
Yeah, I do.
What stands out in your mind?
The help.
Do you remember anybody in particular?
Yeah. A lady named Mavis. Somebody.
Okay.
She was very nice. Seemed to take great joy in whatever successes we had.
She seemed to take joy in whatever successes you had?
Yeah. She was funny too.
She was funny?
Yeah.
We're going to be showing this tape to people who work in healthcare. Yeah. Do you have any advice to give them
they act like the people that they care for. It makes a big difference.
Okay. Well, thank you, CJ. Really appreciate it.
All right. You're welcome.
Hi, my name is Kelly Whitaker, and I am the New Mexico Healthcare Association president. And I had the opportunity to listen to Larry Johnson today present at our annual convention. And I have to say it was probably by far the best presentation that I have seen in the last 15 years. I can tell you that his message is something that I'm going to incorporate into our general orientation for all of our buildings that I have the opportunity to work with, because everybody needs to hear his message, because it is powerful, and I strongly recommend you do as well.